Salutations, my dearest friends. My name is Samantha, and today I'm going to be talking about some books that have some good ace representation, have some romance books, some fantasy books, and even some nonfiction books to talk about. So let's just hop right in. Hello, how are you? Welcome or welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to Trope Week. If you don't know what Trope Week is, it is basically a series I do on my channel where every single day for an entire week I pick a bunch of like specific book tropes, themes in books, and then I spend the entire week giving you guys recommendations on it. I've been doing this series for quite a while on my channel. I have a whole playlist down below. I have like 40 plus videos. Today is the last day of Trope Week. I'm rounding off these videos. They're my favorite to film. I love filming them. If my voice sounds a little raspy in this video, it is because I have a cold, and today I had the most wild endometriosis flare-up, so your girl is going through it. But I really wanted to film today. I wanted to make sure to get these videos up because they're my favorite to film, and I'm trying to post every day leading up to Valentine's Day because it's my favorite holiday. So here we are. Excuse the raspy voice. Today I'm going to be focusing on books that have really good ace or asexual representation in them. Books that I'm going to be talking about, it is clearly stated in the book that the characters identify as ace, and to pick books that it said clearly in the book. One of those situations where the author like years later says they identified that way, but there's like no hint or representation in the book, if that makes sense. I don't personally identify as ace, but I do identify as bisexual, which I mentioned in the last video that I did. However, I love reading different types of representations in romance books. The full thing and importance of romance books is to be able to see yourself in a book, to identify with characters. I think people don't realize how incredibly powerful that is to see yourself represented in a book, and especially seeing a happily ever after in that book. 5 total recommendations, and then a couple of recommendations that my friends have recommended to me and I have on my own personal TBR, so I'm just going to share all of them with you. The first one is a non-fiction book, and I think this one is really good. I've started reading it and I'm enjoying it so far. This is by Angela Chen. It's called Ace, and then the longer title is What Asexuality Reveals About Desire, Society, and the Meaning of Sex. This is a nonfiction book that goes into detail about one's personal experience in identifying as ace, and then also how that's portrayed in mass media as well. And I just think this is so educational and such a good book in general, so I thought I would mention it for this video as well. The first book that I want to talk about is Gold Lines and First Times by Eden Finley. This is a part of her CU Hockey series. This is duo written by 2 of my favorite authors. The entire series is a male-male sports romance series. This is a 3rd book in a series, but you can technically read it out of order, and this follows our characters Cohen and Seth. Seth is the character that identifies as ace, actually discovering that part of himself, and in the book he discovers that he identifies as demisexual, which does fall under the ace spectrum. Keep in mind there is different ways to identify as ace. This book, Seth has kind of come back from a series of failed relationships. He's in college and he wants to get like an emotional attraction to someone before any type of intimacy, and a lot of his girlfriends just have not been understanding of that. So he ends up joining a dating app that is specifically for guys, because our other hero Cohen is discovering his attraction for guys, but he's always had girlfriends, so he is like a little unsure of himself. So they both end up joining this dating app, and although the dating app is like mainly for hookups, they actually start just DM and like messaging each other and forming a real friendship. They go months with just texting each other back and forth, really gaining that emotional attraction to each other before they even meet, and it is so freaking cute. The book is pretty steamy towards the end. Not all of these books are, but yeah, I just really enjoyed this one, so I highly recommend it, and I actually love every single book in this series. I think there's like 5 or 6 total. Next up is Heart Song by TJ Klune, and this is the 3rd book in this series, the Green Creek series, which you do kind of have to read in order. So this is a paranormal male-male romance series. It follows a group of werewolf shifters in this small town called Green Creek. Like I said, you have to read this one in order, but I think the entire series is so beautifully written. It follows the concept of like fated mates and soulmates, which I think is so incredibly romantic, and our hero Kelly in this book identifies as asexual, and he has been separated from his fated mate, and they're kind of like finding their way back to each other in this book, and it is so incredibly romantic. Like I said, I don't want to ruin too much of the plot of this book because it is the 3rd book in a series that you have to read in order, but honestly this entire series is so special. TJ Klune's writing is just wonderful. The next one is That Kind of Guy by Talia Hibbert, which is the third book in the Ravenswood series, but you can read this one out of order for sure. This book follows Zach and Ray. In this book, Zach identifies as a demisexual. Ray is recently divorced and she needs a date, so she ends up propositioning her friend Zach to be her fake boyfriend, so she doesn't show up to this event without a date because her ex-husband is showing up with someone new, so she needs to show up with someone. A lot of his relationships haven't worked out because he has been missing that emotional connection with his partners, but he finds it in our heroine. And this also has a age gap with a older heroine, younger man. I don't remember what the age gap is, but it's not that large. I just remember that she is an older heroine and he's a younger guy. This one is so incredibly sweet. Our hero is just like this big giant cinnamon roll in this book. I love Talia Hibbert's writing. I think she always does such an amazing job when it comes to representation and diversity in her book. Her writing is amazing. Her romances are so sweet, romantic, and just a little bit steamy, which I love. So I highly recommend this one. Okay, so the next two that I want to talk about are technically fantasy. Like, one is more adult fantasy and the other is like YA sci-fi fantasy, so not exactly romance, but there is like little hints of romance on the side, I guess. So the first one is Every Heart a Doorway by Shannon McGuire, which is the first book in the Wayward Children series. This entire series, I consider it adult fantasy. Some people call it YA fantasy, so I don't know what it's actually categorized under. A bunch of short books that follow a variety of characters, and the idea is that there is doors to other worlds, and these children stumble upon these doors. Sometimes they live in these worlds for a very long time and then find their way out of them and are trying to get back. Each world is so different and it's usually representative of that character. It is such a unique series, and this is the first book in the series, which is a perfect place to start. She's out of her world and she's trying to find her way back, and there is a school that is for all of the kids who came from different doors, and they're trying to find those doors again or navigate their lives. She's going to the school while she's trying to find her door again, and there's also a little like murder mystery going on. Some of the kids are going missing, something's happening to them, so there's a little bit of a mystery that I don't want to ruin for you guys. It is such a beautiful series and so well written. I feel like I've never read anything like it, and I love the audiobooks. They're super short. They're like 4-hour audiobooks that you can just like breeze through. And this book identifies as asexual. I think I'm on like the 4th or 5th book of this series. I need to catch up because I think there are some that I haven't read yet. So yeah, I just really like this one. This one I don't think I've ever talked about on my channel, and I actually love this series. When I started my channel, I was mainly focusing on romance books, and I still do because that's pretty much all I read. But before that, I was reading like YA and fantasy and just like a wider variety of things. The book I stumbled across was Dare Mighty Things by Heather Kavinsky, and this is like a sci-fi fantasy YA book. There are all of these incredibly intelligent kids that are competing to go to space. They're competing to compete in this like a scientific endeavor, and it follows our main heroine who is competing, and she's extremely intelligent. She also identifies as ace, and I don't want to give too many spoilers about this book, but there's kind of like some twists about the experiment that they're doing. It is a bit of a competition. They're going through all of these different tests to see who is going to be the one to compete. I really love this one, although it does end in a cliffhanger. It's a duology. You have to read the second book because this one ends in a freaking cliffhanger that makes you want to throw the book across the room. I had no idea that this was a duology, and I literally was like screaming at the end of this and immediately purchased the second book. So I love this one. In doing research for this video, I found some books that I added to my TBR that I'm currently reading, and I also have some recommendations for my friends that I will mention. The first book I found is called Cupid Calling, which sounds so freaking cute. They both end up going on to this show that's like The Bachelorette, okay? It's a dating show like The Bachelorette. So it's 28 guys competing for this one bachelorette, and our two characters are in this competition, but instead of falling for the bachelorette, they fall for each other. I love it. I love it so much. That sounds so cute. So this is described as a male-male contemporary book set in like a UK edition of The Bachelor. One of our characters identifies as bisexual and the other identifies as demisexual. So oh, I really want to read this one. Friend Lacey from Lacey Book Lovers gave me a recommendation for this video, and it's called The Romantic Agenda by Claire Can. Lacey, in her Goodreads review, described this as like a love square, so not a triangle. There's like 4 people. So you have Joy, who is an asexual heroine, and she's in love with her best friend Malcolm, who's also asexual, but he just got together with our other character Summer, who has an ex named Fox, and all 4 of them go to a weekend getaway together, and there's like some matchmaking happening. this sounds really cool and kind of a wild setup a little bit because it's like 4 different characters. So yeah, I'm excited to read that one. So thank you, Lacey, for that recommendation. Then my best friend Desiree from the Genki Reader, or Desiree Alicia here on YouTube, cozy YouTube channel where she does like silent vlogs and unboxings and all good types of content. So I'll leave her down below. And then she recommended Upside Down by N.R. Walker. I'm like stumbling over my words, I swear. This one sounds so good and has amazing, amazing ratings on Goodreads. So I'm excited to read that one. Some books that I have on my TBR, and maybe you can add them to yours as well. If you've read them, let me know what you think. And what else? Oh, if you have any recommendations, of course, leave those down below too. So thank you guys for joining me for this video and for Trope Week as a whole. I hope you enjoyed all of the other videos I did this week. And for the recommendation videos, we did a sapphic romance recommendation video, one with bisexual characters, one with plus size heroes, one with plus size heroines. What else did I do? Oh, I did a historic romance video with blue stocking heroine. Random recommendations in there, but it's all included in my Trope Week playlist that I'll have linked below. Okay. I feel like I've been talking for ages. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend time with me. It means the world to me. I hope you guys are all staying happy and healthy, and I will see you in my next video. Bye! I just like hit my hand on my chair. I'm so tired.